21st meeting of the Security Council is called to order. The provisional agenda for this meeting is maintenance of international peace and security, upholding the purposes and principles of the United Nations Charter through effective multilateralism, maintenance of peace and security of Ukraine. The agenda is adopted. I would like to warmly welcome the Secretary General, distinguished presidents, prime ministers, ministers, and other high-level representatives present in the Security Council chamber. Your presence today underscores the importance of the subject matter under discussion. In accordance with Rule 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite representatives of Argentina, Australia, Austria, Belarus, Belgium, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Canada, Chile, Croatia, Czechia, Denmark, Estonia, Germany, Greece, Guatemala, Hungary, India, Indonesia, Ireland, Italy, Kuwait, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Mexico, Montenegro, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, North Macedonia, Panama, Poland, Portugal, Qatar, the Republic of Korea, Romania, Sierra Leone, Slovakia, Slovenia, South Africa, Spain, Turkey, Ukraine, and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela to participate in the meeting. In accordance with Rule 39 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I also invite the following briefers to participate in this meeting. His Excellency Mr. Charles Michel, President of the European Council. His Excellency Mr. Bujar Osmani, Chairperson in Office of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. And His Excellency Grand Chancellor Riccardo Paterno di Montecupo, Sovereign Order of Malta. It is so decided. I also propose that the Council invite His Excellency Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, Secretary for Relations with States and International Organizations of the Holy See, to participate in the meeting, in accordance with the Provisional Rules of Procedure and the previous practice in this regard. There being no objection, it is so decided. The delegation of Russian Federation has asked for the floor. Please, you have the floor.
Mr. President, you were hasty in saying the words, "it is so decided." We had two questions. First and foremost, we wish to ask you on what basis you propose to give the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, the floor before members of the Security Council speak, many of whom also are represented at the level of heads of state and government. And my second question, the second question I wish to pose is, on what basis are you inviting the Minister for Foreign Affairs of North Macedonia to today's meeting in the capacity as the chair of the OSCE?
So I take note of the remarks made by the Russian delegation, and in response, I would like to confirm that notice of the planned speaking order was given to all Council members in advance, and in my view, it would have been preferable had this procedural matter been resolved at a technical level prior to the start of this open debate, so that we would have been able to proceed immediately to the substance of our deliberations today. I wish to recall that paragraph 33 of Presidential Note S 2017-507, agreed by consensus, states, and I quote, "When non-members are invited to speak to the Security Council, those who have a direct interest in the outcome of the matter under consideration may speak prior to Council members if appropriate." End of quote. Given the subject of today's open debate, we believe that inviting President Zelensky to speak before Council members amply confirms to paragraph 33. Moreover, giving the floor first to President Zelensky will provide the opportunity for Council members and the other member states participating today in such impressive numbers to respond to his remarks. Previously, in February of this year, the Russian delegation raised the same issue and was assured by then the Council President that ample precedents exist of non-Council member states taking the floor before Council members. Several cases were cited at that time, and others could be mentioned. I would add that at each of the previous 5 Security Council meetings in which President Zelensky was invited to participate, he spoke before Council members. I want to assure our Russian colleagues and everyone here that this is not a special operation by the Albanian presidency, but a continuation of a long and well-established practice of this Council, and today's speaking order therefore is in full conformity with the Council's guidelines and practices. As for the second question, I have a certain difficulty to understand what's the problem, because OSCE has an important role and is here because of its contribution to this meeting considered of essence. Yes, the OSCE representative here is an Albanian from North Macedonia, but if you would be more explicit what's the problem, I would be happy to help you.
With pleasure, Mr. President. We do not believe that the arguments that you have advanced are compelling. There are a number of members of the Security Council that will be represented in the hall today at the head of state level. You tried to explain why the Ukrainian president is being prioritized. However, the procedure, this has nothing to do with the procedure for the Security Council. You can understand the logic. When we discussed Somalia here, the president of Somalia spoke first here, but he was the only president from among those present. There are indeed precedents related to other files on the Security Council's agenda, but a specific practice has unfolded linked to the specificities of certain regions, which has nothing to do with the situation in Ukraine. I would like to warn you that if today you bang the gavel thereby implementing your decision, the Albanian presidency will be tainted with an egregious precedent of violating existing practice in the Security Council, established practice for the benefit of one delegation, which time after time continues to demonstrate with support from the West that their rules don't apply to it and everything is permissible. From the beginning, Western members of the Security Council 3 times pushed through the participation of Volodymyr Zelensky in Security Council meetings through video link. This constitutes a blatant disregard for the authority of this key body. Leaders of other states find time in their schedule to travel in person to New York and to speak before the members of the Security Council. Over the course of the 75 years of the existence of the organization, the emergence in presence at the Security Council, speaking before the Council, was viewed to be a privilege. The same applies to statements from the lofty tribune of the General Assembly. Instead of which, during the last session, during the special session, the representative of Kiev decided to speak through video link. At the same time, Western delegations alleged that last year Volodymyr Zelensky was unable to leave the country due to extraordinary circumstances. These circumstances, nonetheless, did not prevent him from traveling to the U.S. to visit Washington, and yet he did not deign at the time to travel personally to the United Nations. Colleagues, consider the violation of by the president of the practice of the work work of the Security Council is fraught with risks of undermining the authority of the Security Council, which they are trying to transform into a one-man stand-up show. And for this, the Albanian presidency convened an open debate. In this debate, a large group of supporters from among NATO countries, and it is clear for many, at least for most, that today's meeting is will be nothing more than a spectacle. I would like to stress for protocol and for those who are trying to distort our position, we do not object to the participation of the Ukrainian president in this meeting, but this needs to be done in line with the rules of procedure and existing practice, according to which countries invited under Rule 37 speak after the members of the Security Council, especially when, as both members of the Council and a number of other representatives under Rule 37 are represented at the head of state and government level. Turning to the participation of the Albanian foreign minister and of North Macedonia, apologizes the speaker, as a current chairperson in office of the OSCE. Our being appalled at this has nothing to do with his nationality, sir, and we objected to his presence in this capacity, and we informed the Albanian presidency about this yesterday. We fail to understand. As far as we understand, there has been no discussion of this or any open discussion of at the building where, or in Vienna, the headquarters. There was no discussion. According to approved principles by the Permanent Council of the OSCE, any statements of chairperson in office, the Secretary General of the OSCE, or official representatives authorized by them need to be in line with their mandates, and they must not depart from the consensual position of the OSCE. If the Albanian presidency insists on allowing Mr. Osmani to speak during today's meeting, we believe that he can voice only the consensual position of this organization. I would note separately that the OSCE, due to the destructive approach adopted by Western delegations, has long not been in any way contributing to the process of resolving the Ukrainian crisis, but it has only been exacerbating the situation. We see this in attempts to advance and push through in a way that runs counter to practice. Mr. Osmani's participation by Western delegations, their attempt to advance one-sided rules of the game as part of the rules-based order. We urge members of the Security Council to adopt a principled position in this issue and to speak out against such approaches. We regret that the Albanian presidency has demonstrated blatant disregard for consensus and practices of the Security Council. They have placed their NATO political and ideological beliefs above the obligations of the presidency of the Security Council, which is a guardian for the procedures and should adopt an impartial position. Unfortunately, the Albania has been unable to manage this today. Thank you.
I must say that coming from you, all this lecture of violating the rules in this building is quite an impressive shoot. But as far as you repeated many times that the violation here is about President Zelensky speaking before the Council members, there is a solution for this if you agree. You stop the war and President Zelensky will not take the floor. So what made him here important and what makes important for all of us to hear him first and then discuss is made from you, not from us. Thank you very much. I take note and will continue with our session. You want the floor again? Okay.
Mr. President, I wish to draw your attention to the fact that you today are acting as President of the Security Council, not speaking in your national capacity as a representative of Albania. Your objective is to conduct a meeting as is enshrined in the rules of procedure of the Security Council instead of providing political assessments in your capacity as the President of the Security Council. Thank you.
I just responded to you after you addressing me as the Albanian Prime Minister and after you continuing to say incorrect things about what the procedure is here. If you don't want me to answer as an Albanian Prime Minister, don't provoke me as such. Anyhow, let's keep going now. The security, again, okay?
Mr. President, I turn to you only as the President of the Security Council. Not once did I turn to you as the Prime Minister of Albania. Once again, I stress, I'm engaged in a procedural dialogue with you, not in a substantive dialogue. Please refrain from political assessments at the beginning of your statement at the Council.
Yeah, it was you that talked about NATO, about Albania being in NATO, about NATO countries coming here, so all this has nothing to do with my role as President of the Council. Anyhow, can we now, with your permission, continue normally the session? Thank you very much. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of item 2 of agenda. I wish to draw the attention of Council members to document S 2023/653, a letter dated 6 September 2023 from the Permanent Representative of Albania to the United Nations addressed to the President of the Security Council. I now give the floor to the Secretary General, His Excellency Mr. Antonio Gutierrez.
Mr. President, Excellencies, the United Nations Charter is our roadmap to a more peaceful world. The tools and mechanisms founded on the principles.
Terima kasih sudah nonton. Jangan lupa like, subscribe, dan share ya.